Well, there's a lot of talk I also hear on YouTube about, the supposed stuff hits the fan, what type of weapon you're supposed to have. But I'm going to offer my opinion. Actually, I have weapons like golf clubs. So, anyway, if you probably got one weapon, one of the best ones to get, it might be you might be saying, ho hum, bolt action. This is a Ruger, and this is a stainless steel synthetic. It's a classic firearm. It's in .308 Winchester, a classic caliber. And there's a reason for getting something like this versus going into high tech. Reliability to the max. And also being that it's stainless steel with a synthetic stock, it's not going to rust. Now, it can rust internally in some of like the springs and different things in there. There's a few parts in there that can rust, I think. I'm pretty sure of it. Now, the other thing is, I always put a sling on every single weapon I have. Reason is, I don't know if I can do it that well on here, but I can wrap my hand around like this, and that steadies the weapon greatly. If you're like, it doesn't matter, if you're in an offhand position like standing up or sitting down or whatever, doing that with this sling makes this, stabilize this a great deal. Now I got a piece of tape covering up my serial number for some reason, but anyway. Now this doesn't come with the iron sights. You can get it with the iron sights or not. Now the cost on this weapon is not cheap. This today retails for $859, and that's without the scope. But the other side of it is, it's always going to work. You don't need magazines for it too. In other words, you have, you can really have a magazine release over here, and it's kind of hard to do when you're. There it is. If you're not holding it the normal way. So, and you can dump it out, right? It's got the Mauser action, and also you can load it up with the safety on, like the safety's in the mid position. That's another thing. The scope. Now the scope I got. Now it's a Redfield, which is a good scope. It's not like the best scope in the world, but it still costs you at least a few $100. I use these covers on them, and to flip up covers. Now the power of the scope I get, a lot of these people put these giant ass scopes on them, night scopes, and this is another recommendation I'm going to make. I don't think that's smart to do. You're paying for all this extra money, but let me put it this way. This scope is not that powerful. It's 1.4 power to 4 power. I normally leave it on about 1.8 power. If I pick up this rifle right now and I look through this scope, it's almost like you're looking through, without a scope. It's a very slight magnification. So what you do is you pick up the target extremely fast. Now using a scope versus lining up iron sights, your target acquisition is quick as all hell. That's all I got to say. It's very fast. Now the other advantage of using a lower powered scope is that you don't need a giant glass on here to pick up the light or anything special. It's because it's not that powerful of a scope. It works good at night. Believe me, it does work. Even these scopes that are not considered night scopes, if they're not that powerful, they gather light very good at night. That's something to consider. If you start using like a 12 power scope, 16 power scope on a rifle, because you think you're going to really reach out and touch somebody, you're going to need a very big, heavy, cumbersome power, scope to mount on a rifle to gather the light. These things gather light. Actually, you could see through this scope set at around 1.8 power, pretty much better than the naked eye. And 4 power actually is plenty. It's plenty. It's like, I don't know, people must, when they go, I noticed this a lot. I've been doing this, I've been out of it, but I have fired tens and tens of thousands of rounds on the range. Was in the military for a while, and all my family was in the military, and we've done a lot of this kind of crap. So the thing is, it's practicality. That's the main word. And, practicality is pretty much the USA trait. It's not necessarily being the most fancy. It's being the most reliable and practical in whatever works the best. And, actually this style is one of the best ones going. This Mauser action is very quick, believe it or not. The .308 round Now this rifle comes in a number of different calibers. You can get it like 7 millimeters. You can get a 270, another great round. You can get a 330-06. You get a 300 Win Mag. I'm going to tell you, you can argue this, and it's almost like people. It's like men's gossip. It's disgusting, man. I can't stand it. There's reasons, I think, in a hunting application why you'd want to have, a 270 or maybe a 300 Win Mag for certain things. There's reasons for it. But, the stuff hits the fan type rifle, you want the 308, which is the standard 7.62 NATO round. And actually for hunting, it pretty much covers every damn thing there is anyway, even if you're using it. Now, also the beauty of this type of rifle, they would probably make, this would be like the last rifle in the world that would come under gun control laws, because it doesn't have a detachable magazine. It's got this type, and the other thing is, you can always top it off very easily, because like I said, it has the the 2-position safety on it. You can have it on safe and be topping up the rounds. It's another thing that's pretty good about it. Yeah, I mean, it's only 5 shots or whatever, but big deal. The point is that it's reliable as all hell. That's the main point. It's always going to work. And the reason I got this without the iron sights on it is because the scope mounts very low. So when you put this up to your cheek, right, what happens is you get alignment right away. You will pick up with this scope set at 1.8 power, and I've had this thing for a lot of years, decades actually. So when you put this up against your cheek, you will pick up your target much, much faster than if you were using iron sights. There's no doubt about it. And also, like I stated again, since this is not a very powerful scope, it gathers light very good, yet it's very low profile. Now, say for instance you broke this scope. You say you got no iron sights. Well, to break this scope, it's going to take a hell of a lot, but there's always some crap you can do. Like, for instance, you can put iron sights on here, bolt them on here. And you know what? If you don't even have that, you can make something with a radiator clamp. Seriously, you really could. You can make a crude setup with a couple radiator clamps on the barrel. And it would work for a real crude target acquisition. So, I mean, you're talking about if you're in the Mad Max situation or something like that. This is the rifle to actually have. And if this got in the weather for like, a month, and it was sitting in mud. You talk about, the infamous AK-47, reliable. You pick it up out of the mud and the dirt and sand. This damn thing will outperform that AK-47 in any kind of weather. This damn thing. And I should point out about lubrication. You don't want to use, a lot of times I'll use like a dry lubricant on here. I don't like using even CLP, like the Cleaner Lubricant Protectant, break free, like the Marine Corps uses. I like using a dry lubricant because I don't like any kind of sand picking up on these parts. The dry lubricants are much better. That's another thing. It's amazing. When I was more attuned to this stuff, I used to get kind of aggravated at some of the simple things that the military should be doing for its people, because they can make a major difference in the functionality of the weapons. But this is what I would actually recommend for the stuff hits the fan scenario. If you just have one weapon, this would be the last type of weapon that would, but like I said, the jerks would confiscate anything. If the shit hits the fan, they would say any weapon you have is gone. That's what they would do probably. But this is actually a lot more powerful than an AR-15. It's not like an elephant gun, though. It's just like your standard hunting rifle, and it's plenty good enough. And the other thing is, like I said, in 308 Winchester or 7.62 NATO, it's an extremely common caliber that you can get anywhere. That would be the caliber you'd want to choose more than any of them, no doubt about it. And like I said, it's not having like all the special night vision crap. Another way around. And like I said, it's not having all the special night vision crap, whatever the heck it is. Like you have all these, $2,000 sights on here, all this kind of garbage. When you're using a scope that isn't that that powerful, doesn't have that much magnification. It picks up a lot more light. Even this nice slim low profile scope, if you have it on 1.8 power, it picks up nice at night. It'll pick up very, very well. You'll see better through this scope than with the naked eye. It's no doubt about it. So, you can't beat that. And being at 1.8 power, your target acquisition is extremely quick. And that's what you want. The whole idea is to actually connect with your target. It's not to, play GQ Commander Guy or some crap like that, like you see all over the place on YouTube. There's a lot of that stuff going on. That's not really the thing. And I'm talking practicality. This is one of the best ones going. Ruger, this thing has been around forever. They make parts for this all over the place. Ruger's been making this for decades. And it's very, very strong. You're not going to rot the wood. You're not going to scratch it. Nothing's going to happen to this weapon. So, and I always recommend the sling. This actually is a big, major tool in steadying the weapon. You don't need a bipod. I don't have one weapon with a bipod. Not one. I think they're bullshit, to tell you the truth. But, man, you see that all over YouTube, too. I think they're stupid. And the other thing is, how many weapons you see in the military that are individual weapons that aren't squad automatic weapons or anything like that, or SAW or anything like that have a bipod? How often? Nobody. It's actually something that gets in your way. And it changes the trajectory of the round. You actually have to zero this rifle for a bipod, and you have to zero it for not using a bipod. That's because it'll whip a little bit. So, simplicity, practicality, and reliability are the main things you look for in stuff hits the fan type weapons. And this is the kind of crap you can, even if you weren't using it, it don't take much to figure it out. So even if you didn't have the skills of how to use this, and you just use it every once in a while, you're still not going to know how to use it, because it's not complicated. That's the thing. Not complicated. You talk about the AK-47 being not complicated. This is more simple than that. And actually, this is more powerful and more reliable. Doesn't hold as many rounds. But the idea is not to make noise. The idea is to connect.